Tonight at 10, we now have the findings on the investigation into Madison School District's former spokesperson after a complaint alleged harassment and bullying.
That investigation found it warranted that Tim LeMonds be fired from the district. And yet, he retired from the district with a $40,000 payout just last month. NBC 15 investigates. Elizabeth Wattis joining us now with more on the investigative findings and how LeMonds lawyers are responding to them.
Yeah, through an open records request, the district sent me the summary of the investigation into allegations against Tim LeMonds. From it, we know the investigation was done by an outside law firm out of Green Bay from May 11th to June 16th. The summary was compiled at the beginning of July. In it, the investigators concluded LeMonds retaliated against and bullied 2 MMSD employees. It also concluded LeMonds was dishonest with district employees and dishonest and insubordinate towards his supervisor. Also, under LeMonds' leadership, the communications department experienced significant challenges and struggled to understand their roles. Now, based on these findings and district policy, the investigation concluded LeMonds' conduct warranted serious disciplinary action up to and including termination. Now, LeMonds, he hired lawyers to respond to these allegations. And I also got that document through an open records request. The 11-page file disputes each and every claim against LeMonds and said he did nothing to justify termination or a lesser form of discipline, citing accolades he received throughout his almost 4 years with the district, saying he navigated the district through the pandemic and historic staffing shortages. The investigation found insufficient evidence that LeMonds discriminated against or harassed 4 employees based on a protected classification. The district is currently restructuring its communications department. In the studio, Elizabeth Wattis, NBC 15 investigates.